On a freezing night in Canada, one routine landing came terrifyingly close to catastrophe.
With engines running, Flight 624 taxi to the runway.
Pre-flight checks complete, flap set to 2.
Roger that, continue taxi.
As Flight 624 prepared for takeoff, pilots conducted final pre-flight checks, ensuring both systems and crew were ready for the journey. Engines at full power, Flight 624 begins its takeoff roll into a cold, snowy night, unaware of the challenges ahead in Halifax.
Flight 624 lifts off into the snowy night sky, beginning a routine journey that will soon turn into a critical challenge.
Both pilots were highly experienced, with thousands of hours in the Airbus A320. Nothing about this flight seemed unusual.
Flight 624 climbed smoothly toward its cruising altitude, leaving Toronto behind.
At 35,000 feet, the aircraft leveled off. The flight appeared routine in every way.
As the flight progressed, attention turned to Halifax. Weather conditions there were far from ideal. With worsening weather ahead, the crew began planning for contingencies.
Unable to approach, Flight 624 entered a holding pattern west of Halifax.
In the cabin, preparations began. Passengers remained unaware of how critical the situation had become.
Visibility dropped to near zero. Halifax was now barely accessible.
Halifax, Clipper 624, we are pushing the limits here.
Fuel limited how long the crew could wait. Every minute mattered.
Check the crossfeed.
Cycling the valves now.
Visibility briefly improved, just enough to attempt an approach. The crew committed to the approach. With strong tailwinds, runway 05 was selected. The approach would rely on manual precision.
Cold air would make the aircraft lower than instruments indicated.
Flight 624 was cleared to descend.
The aircraft turned inbound toward runway 05.
Heavy snowfall had forced the closure of one runway, leaving only a single option for landing.
Strong winds from the north ruled out the preferred runway direction.
Runway 05 offered no vertical guidance, only lateral alignment. Pilots relied on charts showing required altitude at fixed distances from the runway.
In cold air, pressure levels sit lower than expected side, making aircraft fly lower than indicated.
The crew correctly applied cold weather altitude corrections. If the runway was not visible by 813 feet, the approach would be abandoned. There would be no second guess. The captain selected a steeper descent angle to account for the cold air.
At just over 4 miles from the runway, Flight 624 began its final descent. Flight 624 crossed to the final approach fix.
No altitude cross-checks were made against the approach chart. The safety net remained unused. Second by second, the aircraft drifted lower than intended.
Changing winds subtly altered the aircraft's vertical performance.
The crew trusted the automation to maintain the correct path.
By this point, the aircraft was more than 100 feet below profile.
Air Canada procedures did not require altitude monitoring beyond the final approach fix.
The approach lights were not set to maximum intensity. Another layer of protection was absent.
Snow and darkness distorted the crew's perception of distance.
Minimums.
As the aircraft reached minimums, the crew faced a critical choice.
Minimums. Lights only. Continue.
The captain replied, "Landing."
Landing.
Contrary to procedure, the autopilot remained engaged.
Without reliable visual cues, the aircraft's true height was impossible to judge.
When the landing lights came on, the reality became clear.
Pull up! Pull up!
The aircraft struck power lines supplying the airport terminal.
The left engine separated completely from the aircraft.
The aircraft slammed into the ground, tail first.
After hundreds of meters, Flight 624 finally came to rest. For a brief moment, everything went silent.
Inside the cabin, passengers slowly realized the severity of the situation. The cabin crew moved quickly, restoring order through training and discipline.
Passengers were ordered to evacuate immediately.
"25 people were injured, including both pilots.
Airport emergency crews responded within minutes.
Remarkably, all 138 people survived.
By morning, the scale of the damage was clear.
Investigators began examining the sequence of decisions that led to the crash.
In conditions like these, survival is never guaranteed.
In the days that followed, investigators began reconstructing the final minutes of Flight 624.
Flight data revealed a gradual but continuous descent below the intended profile.
The autopilot maintained an angle, not a protected vertical path. Investigators identified a critical procedural gap in non-precision approach monitoring. The investigation focused on systemic factors rather than individual blame. Runway lighting intensity was identified as a contributing factor. Airline procedures were revised to require continuous altitude monitoring. Halifax Airport upgraded its approach lighting system. The lessons from Flight 624 extended beyond Canada. In aviation, safety often depends on the smallest margins.
Accidents like this rarely stem from a single mistake. They emerge from a chain of small failures.
When multiple defenses fail at once, accidents occur.
Severe weather narrows the margin for error.
Experience does not eliminate human limits.
It only manages them. Training evolves so that mistakes are not repeated.
Airport systems also adapt, reducing ambiguity for crews.
Aircraft design and rapid evacuation saved lives. A slightly different angle could have changed everything. From every accident, aviation learns and moves forward. In aviation, no flight is ever truly routine.
As headlines fade, the lessons remain. Aviation remembers what the world forgets.
For those on board, the memory never fades.
Aviation safety is not about blame, but responsibility. For pilots, every decision echoes long after the flight ends. Every accident becomes part of aviation's collective memory.
2,500. Checked.
These lessons are applied before every landing.
Safety lives in the margin between error and consequence.
Aviation remembers its past to protect its future.
Each generation inherits the lessons of the last. Because in aviation, every landing is earned. "138 lives were changed that night."
Airports move on. Aviation does not forget.
Checklists are spoken the same way every day. Landing gear.
Down, 3 green, flaps 20.
Set, speed checked, 1,000.
Aviation learns from its worst days. The weather returns. Preparation does too. Most safety improvements are invisible to passengers. Aviation earns trust, flight by flight.
This time, everything aligns.